Hi peeps, and welcome to the part 2, the meanings behind the symbols, and this is all about the magician. And in this part, what we're going to do, we're going to cover the following symbols. So we're going to examine right arm held upwards. We're going to look at the infinity sign. We're going to look at the headband, the overall figure pose, the yellow background, left hand pointing downwards, the table itself, white willies, flowers, basically the green growth. Very quickly, I would like to come back to one element when it comes to reading the symbols and symbology within the tarot cards. What is happening? Sometimes we become a little bit blind, presumably. Could we say that? Blind? I think so. Because we look through the prism of others people understanding of cards, and I think what is very useful to understand the symbolism, because sometimes yes, this is this art of understanding and decoding the symbols, but there's something more to reading cards, because they are very much something that we read on very subconscious level as well. And when we look at this particular card, what we're seeing is just like, what do we actually see, what we can observe, and apart from the pose, the background, everything else. And I think we mentioned part 1, this is all about the manifestation. This is all about, like the Kabbalists are saying, out of nothingness something comes in. And he's a magician, he performs the magic, but what we don't see, his legs and his feet, do we? Basically, he does the trick, but we don't know how. And I think sometimes it's very important to see things that sometimes we don't see. Is he grounded? Most likely. Do we see his legs? No. Are we facing him? There's a table between us and this grove. Yes, but no. Do we actually see what he's doing? No. So he can be actually a magician, or he can be a trickster. And I guess that's why I want to just kind of point out, just add to the mix, if that makes sense. So that's always something that I tend to look when it comes to cards. If I'm using any kind of deck, I'm just trying to gauge what I'm seeing, what I'm not seeing, and do I have this kind of tunnel vision because I read it somebody says one thing. I think we have to discern quite often for ourselves, because on the end of the day, we are the tool. The card's only enabling us to read. But hey ho, that was my kind of little intro. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at the right arm held upwards. And the right hand is representing the active, masculine and logical aspects. It is connected to the left brain. So the upheld arm suggests the active pursuit, wanting to evolve and raise. And this might be raise something like a manifestation, raise sometimes something like consciousness. So it might be representing this need to, or ability, conscious, unconscious, connecting to the source, to the whatever you choose to call it, because it might be equally the source, it might be the higher self, the divine, the higher realms of consciousness, whatever it might be, because, you know, we don't live, as far as I can see it, yes, it's a universe, but it's a multitude. It's like a ray of different aspect within the aspect. It's like a Russian dolls. It's one within the other. And I know somebody going to crack a joke, they're full of themselves, but it's very much this case. It's everything is interlinked, interconnected, and there are different level, that different aspect within the same level, and I guess that's what I want to just highlight. And this symbolism can be found in Empress. She also does it. She's pointing upwards. Hierophant, he also does it. The Hermit, Justice, the Devil, Four of Wands, the Six of Wands, and Two of Pentacles. So this is drawing through from something that is higher than ourselves. It might be force, it might be our higher self, and obviously he's using the wand. So this is wand is the conductor for it, and that's why he's a magician, because he apparently knows how to do it. So the infinity sign. In mysticism, the infinity symbol has became identified with a variation of Ouroboros, so that lovely belt with that magician is wearing. So the snake that is eating its own tail, basically, it's representing it's infinity, but infinity as sometimes as something that's perpetual, that doesn't have either beginning or the end, or the beginning and the end is very much the same, or it's representing this cycle. So the Ouroboros is sometimes drawn in a figure 8 form to reflect this identification, rather that it's more traditional circular form, and in magician we have both of them. And the sign is representing what we can say the unlimited capacity for creativity. Might be also representing drawing from the higher realms of consciousness or higher self. Might be also representing, and I would say it's representing the mathematical expression of our multidimensional existence. So those things that we see and we don't see, so the seen and unseen. And I think the way how we can interpret it is, so as long the magician holds the active right arm upwards and his left arm it's pointing downwards, he's willing to remain open to this two-way channel of universal energy, and he retains the ability to create and recreate at will in its material plane. So once again, this is all about the manifestation, being able to draw from the higher realms, whatever you put there in that equation, because it's up to you what you believe in. If it's going to be divine, the higher self, the source, God, and then connecting or grounding yourself with that material plane. So that allows him to be open, and that allows him to draw from that higher understanding in order to bring things into being. And what is very interesting, we can see the same infinity symbol on a card. Strength is representing, is showing the same thing. So when it comes to the headband, headband is representing the mind, and intention to manifest desires, our desires, in order to make magic. Magician needs to focus on his mental capacity and on the object of manifestation. So it's representing the mental discipline in the tool of transforming into the garden of life. So all this growth that is below him is representing this material plane, and we can let's call it, for the purpose of this exercise, the garden of life. And this is all about, once again, the everything that comes to magician is to do with manifestation. It's representing our mental, it's representing our capacity and our ability to bring things to being. And obviously he has a lot of good stuff here, like those symbols. He has a wand, he has all those 4 elements representing the elements, like the chalice, he has the sword, he has the pentacle, he has the wand. They're representing the elements, but quite often when we see people who are performing ritual magic, they use those elements, those props, to sometimes enhance certain things. But I guess what I'm trying to say, we are the connector. We are what we have. Everything that we need is already within us. So the magic is done within. It's our ability to make magic, is our intention. So it lies in our intention to manifest. And basically it's understanding that what we are visualizing, we are very easily can bring in. And that is almost the key to understanding the power of magic. And it's not to say those things going to manifest straight away. It takes time, because there's and I want to stress here something very strongly. You can do everything extremely organically, but there are things that can be conjured up, and if that is your cup of tea, go and do it. but there's always a price to pay for things to be conjured up. So that's my little take on this one. So let's go to the figure pose. So I think we mentioned it in the part 1, and I think already mentioned it just maybe a couple of minutes ago. So the magician is the conductor of energy between the earth, which he draws from his downwards left hand and heaven. So basically the pose is as above, so below. So we're going back to our Hermetic principles over here. So basically the figure pose is representing our ability to channel divine creative energy into material world below. And the magician, in a way, is showing and is representing this understanding that the inner workings of our micro cosmos can mirror image into the outworking of the micro and let's say cosmos as well. So it's like our inner reality can be very much be a mirror image of the outer reality. And basically he's representing that's what we touched before. It's the whatever we hold in, whatever we believe, whatever concept, beliefs we have, we project them outwards. So that's why when it comes, I won't call it manifestation because that is the easiest form I can explain this. So sometimes people that are drawing certain things into their life because that's what they believe in, and that might be positive or negative, because things, it's just like we are sometimes subconsciously drawing things. So this figure. This figure pose is representing the ability to draw those things, but also to realizing that some of the things that are being drawn into reality, we're drawing them unconsciously. And I think that I would like to make that very strong point. And so, in other words, what we can say that the magician embodies the argument that our external world is a reflection of our internal world, and that we are always looking into a mirror, because the mirror is all that is there. And it's kind of true, because yes, we can say that there's such a thing as an objective reality, but everything is filtered through us. We are filtering things, and quite often what is happening, we're projecting, we are mirroring, we are deflecting. So whatever is within us, we see in around us, in our surroundings. And moreover, this is circling back to another Hermetic principle, that it's saying that universe is a mental construction, because it is, because it is. I don't know. Because we have all those beliefs. We have those beliefs that we hold them strongly, and we have all those stories, and we tend to forget that it's just a story. And those stories are creating the realities or perception or belief that something is very real, and this is creating emotions and everything, kind of, because it's being fired up by emotions. All of a sudden everything becomes extremely real. So once again, if we circle back to the Hermetic principle, it's all about that the all is in mind and universe is mental. That's why we are able to, when we awaken our consciousness or we realize of our abilities, we're able to bring things into being by virtue of focusing on them, visualizing them, and them allowing them naturally come to the plane, to the material plane. So it's important to understand that everything is always in a state of constant flux, and of, I would call it, inherent reflecting and projecting, and those that are taking forms both inwards, outwards. And this is just, once again, this is all about realizing and becoming conscious of ourselves and what we are projecting, what we are reflecting, what we are mirroring. And if we at some point are able to find the triggers or realize this is happening, being more conscious of it, we are not a subject of it. We kind of become, we're able to, when we're able to observe it, we're able to consciously change what we see or what we observe, and tune ourselves or train ourselves to seeing things or perceiving things in a utterly different way. And that is a very important, that's what is very important aspect in my view of understanding the magician and the entirety of what is a manifestation and how things can be manifested. And if we're going to look at that pose, I think you can hear brown happy doggy out there. Maybe yes, maybe not. The symbolism can be found in Devil cards and the Seven of Wands. And Devil, it's obviously he doesn't have a wand, he has the torch but is to understand that he's also a conductor. He's also conducting the same principles, but it's just with what we're resonating. We're able to bring there's positive aspects and there's negative aspects, and that is very important to remember. And that brings us back to the yellow, because if we're going to think about the devil, he has a very much a dark kind of background, and yellow here it's kind of brighter, is opposite of the dark color. Still, the way how I perceive cards and how I understand the symbolism, and that's my personal choice. I tend to see things in its totality, because nothing is inherently positive or negative. It's the entire spectrum where the same thing can have aspects of, let's say, positive influence or negative influence. And I guess there's the same when it comes to the yellow background. Yellow in this particular case is representing the sun and the sunlight, and yellow quite often is being commonly associated with warmth, life force, and joy of life. So the sun is one of the primary reasons that life exists on Earth. We know that, and is considered the most conscious cosmic bodies in the universe. And yellow is also the color of the third chakra, if we're going to choose to use the system that comes to us from India. And it's representing the solar plexus. And the solar plexus, it's understood, it was being understood, that is allowing us to direct our personal power and is governing our identity as well as our ego. So you see, ego equally is nothing positive or negative. Ego is something that is helping us anchor ourselves within reality, but equally, when it's too restrictive, it's not allowing us to grow, because it's saying, "Hoo, I am the all that it is." Actually, it isn't, but hey ho. So, and if we're going to think about that, let me go back to the symbology. I think it will be easier. So, if we're going to think that in ancient times, the color yellow was associated with Mercury, and the god of the Mercury is the god of communication and manipulation. That's why we have the magician can be a true mag or can be a trickster. Can be both. Maybe not even either or, maybe and. So I think we can use here, once again, the principle of polarity. So everything is dual, because it's communication, manipulation. It's something yellow, its sun can be extremely positive. It's life-giving force. Equally, it can be a destroyer of life. It's both, and both is equally true. It all depends on the circumstance and a different aspect. So in positive aspects, the sun, once again, is the life giver, can help plants to grow by providing the energy, the warmth. When I think about sun, I think about, a nice sunny day when we can all suck up those lovely sun on beautiful day. And when it comes to a negative, when sun is too hot, the sun can actually betray us. Sometimes we can burn ourselves. We can become eluded with the warmth of the sun, and we don't realize that actually it might cause damage. So therefore the background can represent the clear sight, can represent the conscious force, might represent enlightenment, and this background is behind that lovely fellow. Might also represent the sense of direction, the higher state of consciousness, but also can represent the danger, can represent the enchantment, treachery, because this little fellow might be a trickster as well, because we do not, if we see the figure, we don't know how the magic is being done equally, because I think we have to take all those elements in its totality. And also envy and greed. And yellow background we can find in the follower cards. So we see it when it comes to the Fool. When we see the Empress, the Chariot, the Justice, am I right? The Strength? Yes, I think there's that as well. 4 of Wands, 7 of Swords, 9 of Cups, 9 of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, and King of Pentacles. So yellow is also representing, as we can see, we have so many pentacles here. In the minor arcana, this is representing the material realm. So, the table. So, table might represent the stage of our knowledge, might be representing the material plane, can represent and embody our reality, which express itself through the 4 elements on the table. So we have the wand, which is the will, we have the intellect, which is the sword, we have the swords as intellect, the cup as emotion, and then physicality, which is the pentacles representing the physicality. And table is also representing the area of our attention. It's representing what we focus on. And try to imagine when we put something on the table, when we sort of speak going to lay out the cards on the table, we are signifying our willingness to disclose our thoughts, feelings, intentions to others in order to discuss and evaluate them. Sometimes we're going to do it for ourselves, but quite often we do it for others. So the magician is putting his good stuff on a table and saying, hey pips, I have a stuff. And this is showing the understanding, the ability. So when we're expressing something, we're putting our thoughts into the words, or we write something down. What is happening? Once we put the intangible into words or action, we are being in a process of manifestation onto the earthly plane. So as soon as we transform our will and desires into the speech, we're literally casting spells. We're spelling. That's why it's so important what we believe in, what we're resonating with. We really cast the spell every time we open our mouth. I know that's that's true. That's very true. So we are, in other words, engaging in an act of spelling. We're spelling. And I think most of us are familiar with the words that is abracadabra. This is old Aramaic Hebrew phrase. It is commonly understood. A lot of people, they're going to say, this is meaning this is meaning that. This is very old language. You know, nobody was using the Hebrew for God knows how many thousand years. So let's agree. But the most commonly understood meaning of abracadabra. I stands for I will create as I speak. And what we can see in biblical text, the word became flesh and made its dwelling among us. Basically, what does it say? What we say is a spell. We're spelling. So everything that comes from our mental capacities, from our ability to how we perceive ourselves, reality, what we believe consciously, unconsciously, it's being translated when we speak, when we put those things on the table, when we are putting our intangible understanding, our thoughts into the physical, when we make the noise, and when we communicate, we are conducting, we're spelling, basically. And what this is representing, because when we speak, what's happening, there's a vibration, and we all vibrate all the time. We do. We do. Everything is in a constant state of, I don't know how to describe it, but kind of buzzing. That's the easiest way how I can explain this. So let's say those axioms, they are epitomizing the link between vibration and manifestation. And if you're going to think that on a table, we have those 4 elements. So we have a will, that is the wand. We have the intellect, that is sword. We have emotion, that is cup. And then we have the physicality, that is a pentacle. We can say that those days, let's translate it to those days, they can be understood as a thought, feeling, action, and intention. And basically, this is representing sculpting our energy, our vibration, to attract and work with the law of vibration, deliberately manifest. This is all, honestly, magician is all about manifestation and understanding the magic, because magic, we are the ultimate tool of magic. It's not that, when quite often people, they have this understanding that magic is happening through the third party elements, especially when you have those who are conducting the ceremonial magic. What I want you to consider and entertain is the fact that you are the ultimate tool. You don't need anything else. You can train yourself and understand your own potential and ability. And that is that you are the greatest to ever, to be honest. The cards that only enabling you to awaken what's already within you. So once again, let's come back to the table and its meaning before I'm going to lose the thread. So if we're going to think that if we're going to put something on the table and we're going to put it there out in open, we're going to say something, we cannot retrieve it then. And what I'm saying, we cannot retrieve it into the etheric plane, so the mental. So once something comes in and it's almost like shooting from the ether, coming to the material plane, and we bring this in, we cannot retrieve it. So that's why people say, be careful what you wish for. What the table is representing is representing not only the understanding, the importance of our thoughts, feelings, desires, intention, but also it's allowing us, or it's holding the space, let's put it that way. The table is representing the holding the space for the things, allowing us to examine them. So the magician needs a place to channel his energy and focus his will. So it's also representing the space where the magician is examining his own desires. So we are examining our desires, our wills, our potential, and what we actually want to bring in. So this brings us to the left hand pointing downwards. So this is showing and depicts manifestation onto the earth plane. And if you're going to think about this, this is not only showing the magician willing to seek higher wisdom and channel to the material plane, but he's also willing to point the way. So he's showing he's not only pointing the direction for the energy where it's supposed to be focused, but also if we're going to think ourselves as being initiates, he's showing how the things can be manifest, and is representing idea that substance and energy coming from, let's call it, esoteric realms can be brought into the denser material realm. But that, once again, this is all about the entirety meaning of the magician. We don't see how he's doing this trick. And there's a lot of people out there who they think they know, they pretend they know, or wherever it might be, wherever. But what I would like to point out here, but because the magician is also a trickster, this is also showing that whenever the magician actually shares how to do it, is a different matter altogether. Because a lot of people, they tell you a lot of things, but they might not be able to explain it properly, or they might just don't know themselves. What I'm saying, that sort of manifestation understanding comes from the experience and inner knowledge, because everyone's path is different, everyone's understanding is different, everyone's it's a trial and error. Somebody can show you the direction but might not necessarily explain the in and outs of the journey, because everyone has an individual journey, and that's why this is all about the commitment and self-discovery in that respect. And once again, the left hand pointing downwards, we can see in the devil. So that's something to bear in mind. So that brings us to the grove, basically, to the white lilies and the flowers. The white lilies, in essence, they symbolize the truth, the purpose, chastity, and the virtue. The white is emphasizing the new beginnings and completion. And we see lilies quite a bit that are being depicted in the following cards. So the Hierophant, the Strength, Two of Wands, and Ace of Pentacles. And then when it comes to flowers and the green growth, it's representing the fertility, it's representing those things that the magician is bringing into this denser material reality. It's representing the succeeding, it's representing the abundance. Is because we have both the red roses and the white lilies that are both being intertwined. So this is representing this kind of fusion of human passion and the psychic integrity. Both that are needed to grow in a garden of creative beauty, or the garden of life, however you choose to call it. In positive aspect, this is denoting the promise of happiness and success. In negative, might be showing the isolation and loneliness. And this symbology can be found in the Empress, the Hangman, Two of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles, Ten of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, and King of Pentacles. So basically, once again, this is representing, or the symbolism is representing the denser material realms in Hierophant. Hierophant is very much about the structures, and everything is to do with the human and humanity. So this is also representing that realm. And the flower symbolism can be also found in Strength, the Sun. I think I already said it. Two of Wands, Four of Wands, Eight of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, and Six of Cups, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I hope you find it useful. Until the next time. Bye.